Have you ever heard a story about a railway station where, in the darkness of night, a terrifying mystery hides? One that can send chills down your spine. This is the true story of Aman, which took place nearly 15-20 years ago near a small station called Gokhula, close to Narkatiyaganj in Bihar. Aman, a resident of a small village named Durgavaliya, used to live in Patna to prepare for competitive exams and would visit home only once or twice a year because travel options were limited. He avoided buses due to severe discomfort and preferred trains. During the Dussehra, holidays, after nearly 6 months, he decided to surprise his family by going home without informing them. He reached Patliputra station and boarded a train around 5 p.m., which was overcrowded and suffocating. But he managed somehow. By the time the train reached Muzaffarpur, many passengers got down and he finally got some space to rest. But then, it suddenly struck him that he hadn't informed anyone at home. And since the train would reach Narkatiyaganj around 11:30 p.m. and his village was 15 kilometers away, there would be no transport at that hour, especially in those days without mobile phones or proper facilities, leaving him worried that he might have to spend the night at the station. Lost in these thoughts, he fell asleep and woke up when the train had already reached Narkatiyaganj. After getting down, he thought of calling home from a public phone booth. But the old man there told him the line had been dead since morning, leaving Aman with no option but to stay the night. Just then, he heard a goods train arriving and realized that if it was going toward Raxaul, it would pass through Gokhula, which was only 3 kilometers from his village. He approached the guard and requested a ride, lying that someone was waiting for him there. And after warning him that the train wouldn't stop at Gokhula but only slow down, the guard agreed. Aman boarded the guard's cabin, relieved, unaware that he was making the biggest mistake of his life. Soon the train slowed near Gokhula and Aman jumped off. As the train moved away, the station fell into complete silence, covered in dense fog with no one around. As he walked forward with a torch, he suddenly heard footsteps behind him. But when he turned, no one was there. The sound continued, creating an eerie feeling, and suddenly a hand touched his shoulder, terrifying him until a voice said it was the station master. The middle-aged man, holding a lantern, took Aman to his cabin, warmed him by a fire, and warned him that the place was dangerous at night, with strange occurrences happening after dark. Aman laughed it off as superstition, but the station master grew serious, insisting he had seen such things himself and warning Aman not to take it lightly. Ignoring him, Aman decided to leave. And as he stepped out, the station master gave one final warning. No matter what happens, do not turn back if you hear any voice. Aman walked along the track toward his village through fog and cold winds until he reached a narrow bridge. Suddenly, he heard a strange, harsh sound behind him, like an animal, and fear gripped him. As he carefully crossed the broken wooden planks of the bridge, he saw a woman in a white saree approaching him with a child. He called out, but she didn't respond and kept walking slowly. Gathering courage, he shouted at her, but suddenly she disappeared into the fog. Confused and shaken, he stood there when he heard a woman calling his name from behind. Remembering the warning, he tried not to turn, but the voice felt so compelling that he finally looked back, only to see nothing. When he turned forward again, what he saw made him scream in terror. The same woman stood before him, but now her body was mutilated, covered in blood. The horrifying sight froze him, and soon he heard countless screams echoing around. Remembering his grandfather's advice, he began reciting the Hanuman Chalisa with closed eyes, and miraculously, the child stopped and the figures started retreating. Seizing the moment, Aman ran back toward the station as fast as he could, the terrifying sounds chasing him, until he reached the station master's cabin and banged on the door. The station master pulled him inside immediately, gave him water, and asked if he had seen them, and Aman, trembling, confirmed it. The station master reassured him that such entities cannot enter a place protected by divine presence, pointing to the many images of gods in the room, which calmed Aman slightly. He gave him a blanket and asked him to rest. But sleep was nearly impossible, as the horrific images haunted him until he finally dozed off around 3 a.m. In the morning, the station master explained that he had warned him for a reason, sharing that he had seen such spirits many times but continued his job out of necessity. He revealed that the woman Aman saw had once died there with her child after being mentally tortured by her family, jumping in front of a train, and since then, their spirits had been seen frequently, along with the cries of many others who had died unnatural deaths there. Hearing this, Aman was too terrified to stay any longer and left immediately, despite being advised that daytime was safe. As he walked back through the same path, even in daylight, fear lingered, but he somehow reached home within half an hour, where his family was surprised to see him. Though his plan to surprise them succeeded, the horrifying experience left a lifelong scar, and even years later, the memory of that night still sends shivers down his spine. Today, even though Gokhula Station has developed and become more modern, locals still fear crossing that place at night, as many believe such terrifying experiences continue to haunt anyone who dares to pass through after dark.